Here we are at the FinanceFeeds Thought Leadership Conference in London. And I'm joined today by Sam Lowe of Liquidity Finder, Chris Rowe of Goldeye, and Vanessa Green of Wigwam PR. Three professionals based here in London who have got a specific niche in the industry which is very well served to service the new level of customers that's going to come into the retail sector going forward. So looking at this particular evolution, and especially with your technological background, what's your opinion on the kind of how positive it is to look towards better quality of clients? What do you think, Chris?
Well, I think technology is changing, and I was very interested in the talks about knowledge. As you know, we have products around that field, and I think it's really important. People need to understand more about what they're doing and how they operate to make the most money that they can do. The margins in the industry are coming down, so unless you're on top of where your money's going, where your risk is, it's harder to make money. One thing Sam's doing is looking at the liquidity aspects of that, of trying to make sure people are on the right deals. We're trying to make sure that once you're connected, you're maximising the profitability of those connections. So there's a natural sort of blend.
I actually really like this model because it emulates the sort of, and we've talked about this and I touched on it a little bit in the panel, the new type of younger people who are going to end up being the end users. Some of the providers have felt removed from them and see them as a lead or a marketing exercise, but actually they are technologically astute. They understand the sharing model of, we were talking about electric scooters, where you have an app and you just get on one. This is what they're brought up with. So this particular synergy that you've got here and your model of actually helping brokers source the right liquidity is futuristic.
Well, the key thing here is sustainability rather. So a sustainable industry is one where we can all hopefully thrive for the long term, rather than making big bucks overnight. We can all have regular incomes. We're working in a business rather than in a casino, and that's where we really need to drive this industry towards that sort of destination. Putting round pegs in round holes for the long term. So somebody today was talking about, rather than having relationships that last 3 weeks, they could last 3 years, or even ultimately 3 generations. And that's a great philosophy to have for this industry.
It makes the whole brokerage business more sustainable, and it lowers the cost of operation, and it lowers the resources required to keep training new users and customers all the time. It's actually very much an important matter, because by doing that, the brokerage business who uses these services, uses the platform service and the liquidity finding service, will find that they are more sustainable. They'll spend less money on expensive leads because the lead costs will reduce, and their own IP will be worth more because they'll have a long-standing client base. So in the end, you could actually exit from a broker.
Yeah.
It doesn't really happen that often.
I think the key is people want to have retained clients. Getting a hold of a client is a really expensive proposition for a lot of brokers. So once you've got them on board, you want them to be successful and you want them to stay. Now, once again, if I take the liquidity side, if you have poor liquidity where there's massive slippage, or actually the worst one, rejection, so the client's trading away and they're getting high rejection rates, they're going to go, well, I'll tell you what, I've had enough of your brokerage, I'm going to look at Vanessa's brokerage and move off. And all that money you spent on trying to recruit that client is wasted.
That's right.
So it goes back to knowledge again. I think knowledge is key, and I think they hit on it there in the talks, was if people really understand how they're doing, where they're making money, where they're losing money, where the slippage is. Before Liquidity Finder came along, it was actually quite difficult to work out what LPs offer what. Even just simple things like asset class. I'm still sitting there ringing round when I have a client going, do you do this asset class? So having it centralised and then using technology like ours to integrate it, to get it working out there in the marketplace and maximising your potential is what the brokers need, so they can just get on with trading.
And I think they should be able to develop some kind of app which is broker agnostic and connect it to all of these systems. And from a marketing perspective, how well do you think that the industry and its users would react to a completely democratized app where everyone can connect to it, and you can put your request for quote, and you can and then that app sees which broker will take which trade?
Well, it works well in other industries. There's no reason why it wouldn't work well if it's done in the right way and is completely independent. And I think the other thing that came up in the conference as well was really about the amount of information that's out there and trying to have valuable information, because I think that's probably from a marketing perspective, one of the biggest things. There's so much noise. It's how is your noise going to be the right noise and how it's going to get through. And I think that's probably the biggest challenge because there's more channels than ever before for getting that noise thing.
That's right. So maybe that could be randomized. There could be some kind of, even if it's an AI system, which works out a trading pattern and randomizes that and sends the relevant stuff in one feed, maybe.
Yeah, could be.
Excellent. Well,
develop it, Andrew.
I should. Maybe I should. There you go. So very nice to see you here today. Sam, Chris and Vanessa. Thank you. Thank you. Great pleasure.